Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. This is a weekly show where brands watch other brands' ads. Hi, my name's Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and we are brought to you this week by Contagious, so please go and check these guys out after the show. So before we see this week's ad, let's meet this week's guests.
Hi, I'm James. I'm the brand manager for Magnum at Unilever.
Hi, I'm Rob. I'm the VP for strategy at CvE.
Hi, I'm Rich, the founder, owner and only employee of Rich Brett FinOps Ltd.
So I would just like to point out that Rich is a fan of the show and asked to be on the show today, which was such our first moment of pride. So Rich, thanks for being our first fan.
Oh, wait, it's been a dream.
Did you know that the name for Ikea products often comes from Swedish town names? Well, this can be a bit of a problem if your town is associated with a toilet brush. So here's a campaign that showed how the Swedish Tourist Board tackled the Ikea problem.
How do you make the entire world discover a destination like Sweden? If you don't have much of a media budget, you need a big idea or a big problem.
When people hear the name Bolmen, few think about this beautiful lake in Småland, Sweden. Instead, most people think about this: a toilet brush. For us who work in tourism, this is a bit problematic.
In the film, we presented a number of Swedish places, while also describing the Ikea situation. And the message was clear.
It is time the world knows that all these names belong to wonderful places in Sweden. So forget about Ikea. Discover the originals.
Sweden was about to reclaim the names from Ikea, and this was just the beginning. In November of 2021, local politicians, residents, and media gathered by Lake Bolmen for the presentation of the lake's new slogan, Bolmen, more than an Ikea toilet brush. In social media, we offered more beautiful pictures and catchy slogans. Everything pointed towards visitsweden.com, where we had a guide to 21 of these lovely places. Just hours after going live, the campaign was covered by Sweden's biggest news stations, and then it went global. Many of the world's biggest publishers within news, travel, and design wrote about the campaign. Some stations got a special PR kit with Bolmen merch. Finally, people got to know the truth about Ikea's mythical product names, and the places got the attention they deserve. In the end, 49 countries published more than 700 articles. With a minimal media budget, the campaign got a potential reach of 2.1 billion. Sweden had officially reclaimed the names.
It's customary to give a vote out of 5. 1, 2, 3. A 3, a 4, and a 4. That is a high score. Now, this seems like a really good idea, but I'm a bit confused as to what actually happened. Can you help us understand the wider campaign here?
When people were searching for some of their locations, actually what was popping up first, rather than the locations themselves, was Ikea products, which meant that they were facing a challenge in that not enough people were finding out about their amazing places and their hidden gems, and not enough people were visiting Sweden. So they decided to reclaim the names in a way and do some billboards and advertising to highlight the fact that a lot of the Ikea product names were named after locations in Sweden.
It's kind of a nice idea to associate those things, but does it really make me think, oh, I must go to there because it's named after a toilet brush? The place is great anyway. I mean, I think it feels like Sweden can sell itself on what it looks like without having to associate it. I can understand why you do it. And I always love things to be cheap. So no media spend, no real budget to do it. It's great, but I do question whether many people would go to Sweden because of it. Yeah, they might look at it and go to the website, but if you really want to encourage people to go to Sweden, is this the right method to use? I'm not so sure.
I guess I'm probably one of the few people in the world who's never been to Ikea. But no, I actually really liked the ad. I thought that, despite not knowing about it, I thought it was quite funny. I think in these things, you need a little bit of a hook, don't you? Ultimately, what you want is to go and show people some really beautiful scenery. I think it plays on the sort of the Swedish sort of sense of humour that kind of came through. Yeah, I liked it.
Is it a nice hook that, like, oh, this place in Sweden isn't a toilet brush? Like, toilet brushes are not a good association for any brand unless you're like a toilet brush company. James, am I looking into this too much?
Yeah, the toilet brush thing was just a little joke at the start of the video, wasn't it? The major piece here is that everyone's heard of Ikea. apart from myself. Kind of using that very famous brand as a way of amplifying the country that's behind it. And it enables you as well to kind of go to some of the smaller parts of Sweden. Most people think of Sweden, you think of Stockholm. When you start to use some of these other place names, it's a really great excuse to kind of branch out and look at other parts of the country.
I think part of the reason that has worked is because of the storytelling within it. It's a little bit self-deprecating. They can take the mickey out of themselves. And it does, the whole story around it leads into that element of an underdog story, which I think everyone always really likes to get behind. You have this element of like, the plucky upstart local town. It's really beautiful, but its name's been tarnished by a big company. And then you sort of want to buy in and you have a more positive feeling towards them. You're sort of already on their side in a way. So I think the storytelling behind it is really strong as well and completely fits with what they want to try and do as an underdog and the positioning that they take to start off with.
The IKEA side of it, it's piggybacking it a little bit, but is there more you could do with that? A partnership. If Sweden are that into it and they want to get people to go to Sweden, and IKEA is the biggest name in Sweden, apart from Zlatan Ibrahimovic, could you not do a partnership with IKEA where you go onto their website and instead of seeing the bog brush, you see a beautiful picture of Bowman? Is there more you can do with it? And I think that's the bit that I got. It felt like it was almost an advert for IKEA, and I get the self-deprecating part of it, but it wouldn't make me share it unless there was something that really made me go, that's actually really funny. Because you kind of have to look into it to share it. It's not like a simple, Bowman, toilet brush, that's actually a beautiful place. It's kind of not enough there for you to go, I'm going to share this with someone. It's just a nice thing.
But one of the things I don't understand, I might be being thick here, is it's like going, Erktalv, or whatever it's called. That's a town. I vaguely remember, I don't remember any names of any IKEA products. I don't go, I love Utrecht or whatever. Just go completely. In fact, I just moved into a new house, assembled some flat pack furniture this morning. I have no idea what that thing was called. I know it was a table and chairs. So the whole thing hinges on the fact that I should have a name that you give a shit about. Did you know that Dublin is a small town somewhere? That feels like such a creative leap for me. And ultimately, I feel like the idea is it's toilet humor. This town is famous for being named after a toilet brush. It doesn't feel clever enough to me. However, in the top right-hand corner of the campaign video, it's got the Cannes Lion logo. So I assume it's won 10 awards or something, which is quite often happens on this show.
It won a few Cannes Lions, and they speak about the number of countries it was picked up by in the media. So I think, they're regarding it as a success, definitely. I completely agree with the point around, I think the area that it could have been stronger on was making more of it with IKEA. I think what they've done here is given away a hell of a lot of coverage for IKEA without necessarily getting that many counterparts or that much back for it. So I think there could have been a little bit more pushing of it, because all of this is in IKEA's best interests as well. I think IKEA want to celebrate the fact that they're Swedish. They would want to hear where these names come from. It's building even more brand love for them.
But IKEA for years have been famous for getting free marketing, right? Was it the film Fight Club? Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where there was the protagonist had his own apartment famously decked out in all the IKEA stuff, right? Yeah. There's even a little mini info TV sort of thing where they kind of showed his apartment being assembled with all the different products.
And Deadpool as well. I think there was a whole IKEA bit that ran through that. I'm curious, from a sort of performance perspective, do you think there's a missing story here where this might have not converted from those 2.2 billion impressions?
It's almost a little bit suspicious that they haven't reported on more metrics when things like page views would be such an easy number to pull live. It does make you question why they haven't done the translation from number of impressions into that. But I suppose, again, it does speak to the point that this was more awareness focused. It isn't a very action orientated campaign, given that 90% of people are going to hear about this via the press talking about it. You're going to be a consumer sitting, watching a bit of news, reading a bit of news, hearing about, Visit Sweden reclaimed the names of IKEA furniture to highlight the original place names. You hear about that and you go, that's fun. That's a nice idea. It doesn't immediately make you go, okay, and I'm going to go on Visit Sweden website and look up those locations. It's not a particularly action orientated piece. But if that's not what they set out to do and it's more of an awareness driver, then I think it has done its job.
James, Rob, Rich, thanks so much for your time.